Good morning. Today we're going to be taking a look at tree pose or vrikshasana. So let's get going. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and feel free to type them in. I will answer as many as I can as we go through this. If not, it's a great class to also watch afterwards. Okay, and so we're going to go through maybe a systematic way to learn tree pose. To start out with, we're going to um, sit in a comfortable position. If you need to sit on a chair, please sit on a chair just so that you can have this posture where you're not rounding the back. So lift the chest and go ahead and soften the eyes. So inhale, release any tension in the eyes, the ears, and the throat. And again, we'll do this a few times where you inhale, release any tension in the ears, eyes, throat, root of the tongue. Gently releasing any gripping in the neck. So why start your practice this way? And you have a yoga practice which brings a lot of physical benefits, and that's wonderful. And in going for these physical benefits, you should do it in a way that doesn't increase any tension or bring about more tension in certain parts of the body that you already have sort of a grip or a tightness. And so starting to understand what it means to breathe in your pose is so important. And if you're tense, sometimes it's easier to hold your breath or to hold the breath in a pose. And so we start by releasing any tension in the eyes, the ears, the throat, so that you can improve your breath in the pose. And then why do we improve your breath? Well, if you have a great breath, you're more oxygenated, you have more energy in the body, more prana in the body to fix things and to give you vitality and all that. And then once you have more prana in the body, then what do? You can enjoy the vitality. You can enjoy the ability to breathe freely in the body. You can start practicing pranayama and have a better pranayama practice. And that will improve your brain, not only in terms of it just having more oxygen and prana, but it will start learning things correctly versus just increasing tension or practicing in that way. So kind of just letting go, maybe a letting go of the tension in the body, letting go of tensions in the eyes, ears, and throat. And then once that happens, if you have a better, maybe brain or a healthier brain and mind, then you can have better meditation and then a better chance at discovering the truth about yourself. And so we start out with softening eyes, ears, and throat. And breathing, and you can take it as far as you would like to. And so let's get started with Vrikshasana. So it's a really great pose. If you read the benefits from the pose, it can read so many different things, but improving the nervous system, reducing anxiety, to really working on your balance. And so we work on an outer balance and we work on an inner balance. And so this pose is so wonderful to practice. So let's look at ways to make it more accessible, and also to start learning how to position the hips and the legs and the feet in this pose. Okay, so we're going to start out with going near a wall, and I have a wall there, a corner, so if you have one of those available, that's the best. So start like that, and we're going to bring you over here. Okay, so come to the wall here. Okay, come to a wall where you can place your feet on your knees on the opposite wall. Okay, so I'm gonna bring the chair back here a little bit more so that you can see. Okay, so we're just gonna go into the pose. You're gonna bring your right foot, so your right heel, into the left inner thigh there. Okay, so here is tree pose. All right, and so why don't we all try that? So go ahead and place your feet, your opposite feet on the thigh. And I can do it here too. So we're just going to do this a few times, and then I'll show you up close to start breaking down the pose. So both feet on the ground. If you have a wall behind you, we'll start like that. So wall behind you, so that you can always come back and check your balance with the wall. So we're going to start with the right foot up first. So make your left leg very firm. So hug the muscle to the bone, lift the kneecaps, spread the toes, and place that foot onto the ground by lifting your arches, spreading your toes, making this leg very, very active. Okay, so inhale. As you exhale, go ahead and bring the right leg up. And then if you can, keep that knee joint closed. We're going to bring the heel and keep the pressure of this heel into the thigh here. All right, so here we are. So you're in the pose. If this is where you are, that's fine. Just make sure that your heel is not on the knee. So I want to make sure that I'm not putting that kind of pressure on my knee. The closest you can come to the body here, the better. So press and that pressure between the heel and the thigh. So thigh presses into the heel presses into the thigh. That's what you want. So you're in the pose. And here you can come to Namaste position. You can bring the hands up. Okay, and we start first in this aspect of the pose, just using maybe the external parts of the room. So my eyes are open so I can see, and that informs my balance. So an outer balance. And I breathe here and soften the eyes, the ears, and the throat. And then go ahead and close your eyes. So make sure that you know where the wall is or support. And as you let go of that support, we start understanding how much we need the external environment to be a certain way so that we have this balance. So the minute you close your eyes, you don't have that reference anymore, and you really depend on your inner balance. So can you lift the chest? Can you make the leg very active? Okay. So this is a great place to practice this pose in that level. But what we're going to take a quick look now are, what are the positions of the hips here? How do I work the leg? How do I start refining this pose? So here we go. So come down from the pose. And I hope you enjoyed that. So that aspect of tree pose is one that I really enjoy, to start closing the eyes and coming away from the wall a little bit and seeing how can I strengthen that inner balance in the pose, that confidence, and really connect, with the feet and the legs and all that. So that's really a wonderful way to practice this. But we're also interested in, what does the shape look like? So first, if you come to the floor and you sit in Baddha Konasana here. So Baddha Konasana is I'm sitting on the floor with no support underneath my hips, and I'm placing my heels together. So I'm going to place the heels together here, press the heels against each other, and I'm going to notice that here my legs don't reach the floor. So there's this distance here. Okay, so if the legs come all the way to the floor and the knees can rest on the floor. That's great. If not, I'm just going to take note of that. Okay, so without any props, I'm noticing that I'm about, a spread palm of the hand away from the floor. So that when I come into my standing Vrikshasana, that I'm going to have the same thing happening with my leg. So what I mean by that is this. Let me show you. Okay. All right, so I come to my corner here, and I'm going to stand. So make my leg very active. Make the left leg very, very active. Foot on the floor here. Okay. Spread the toes. Spread the toes. Lift the arches of the feet. So we press the heel down and the mounds of the toes down so that we can lift the arch here. Okay. And make that leg very active. Lift the kneecaps and bring the heel into the inner thigh. And we'll go over what this looks like in a minute. So what I want to show you here is when I just sat in Baddha Konasana, so if the back wall here is the floor, right, I'm going to have that same amount of space against the floor. So we always want to bring this leg back, and what happens is we move the hips. So the hips are at an angle here compared to the wall because we want to move the knee back. So that is a wrong action. So here you're going to have, so this opening isn't there in the hips because my Baddha Konasana isn't very open. And so I really, what I want to do is I want to pretend that I have someone pushing on my knee here, pressing on my knee towards me, and with my knee, I'm pushing that person away, okay? So that I can have my knee, my hip bones be parallel with the wall, so they're not at an angle with the wall, they're parallel with the wall here. And I am not forcing my leg back, I am pushing the leg out. So lengthening the femur from the hip to the knee. And once I have this opening in the hip a little bit more, then my knee will come back without the hip rotating. So let's look at a different angle here. Maybe this will be more clear. So if I have my hips here are, okay, hips, here the hips are turning, right? Here the hips are parallel with the wall. And so I bring my leg out, and you know, when you see someone with very open hips, this knee goes down and out, right? But since my Baddha Konasana isn't that open, my knee is going to be forward a little bit. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to turn the hips so that I move this knee out. I want to keep the hips parallel with the wall, and I want to push the knee into the wall. So let's look at this laying down. I'll give you a different angle. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to get on the floor on your mat, and I'm going to give you a different visual of what that looks like, and a way for you to work on opening that hip joint and getting that leg to release so that you're not struggling with the hips and moving the leg back and all that happens when there's tightness in the hips. So find your mat. I'm going to remove your chair here. Okay. So I'm going to lay down on my mat, and I'm going to grab a block here. I'll try to give you a few different angles so that you can see this clearly. So I'm going to lay down with one foot on the wall. This is really a great exercise done with a teacher, someone who knows what they're doing. And I'm going to link a video in the description below of me doing this with my teacher doing the adjustment. But you can do it on your own in the way that I'm going to show you right now. So you may need a belt depending on how you can work your leg. So go ahead and put that foot on the wall, lay back, you can straighten your foot. Okay, so this leg here on the wall is very active, toes are spread, leg is active, lifting the kneecap. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this knee, my left knee to my chest, and then keeping that knee closed as I can, I'm going to have the contact of my heel onto my thigh, and I'm going to bring that leg out. So let me show you a different angle. Okay. Okay, here we go. So one leg on the wall, and the other leg I have here. Yes. Okay. So what I'm going to do to make this better is I'm going to add a block there and then place my heel on the block. And what that does is it gives me the ability to really push the heel onto the block. So that's what I want. I want the ability to really be able to push this heel onto the thigh. And sometimes just using the thigh is not enough if you still have a little bit of tightness. So it's good to use a block there and then really dig that heel into the block. And the reason that I'm digging this heel into the block is so that I can lengthen this femur. Okay, so if you're not pushing the heel in, it's hard to feel the length. So if I'm just digging the heel, that's step one. And then I dig the heel to feel the length on the knee. And I'll show you what that means a little better. But if someone were pushing my knee into my body, I'm going to push the knee away. So push this support away. Lengthen. So press the heel in and then lengthen the femur. And if you start getting this motion right, it'll feel like this femur is getting longer and this part of the leg, the lower leg, is getting shorter. Okay, and then what's going to happen is the knee is going to go down. It's going to come towards the wall. Okay, so that's the motion. That's the movement that we do standing up on trade pose. So we're going to practice that. I'm going to show you one more time how that looks like. So we're going to practice that together. I'll show it to you in Baddha Konasana also, and then we'll do it again on the wall with wall support this time. Okay. So, okay, let's see if this is better for you. So we're going to practice coming down onto the mat. And what I want to do is I want to, touch my heels together and I want to press them together. So if there's tightness here, see, I can press them together here, but then I don't really feel it lengthening my quads or my femur bone, right? So then I put something in between there, a block, and now I can really press my heels together and feel a length in the femur bone. So I want to press it together to feel that length in the femur bone, and then these naturally start coming down. So the knee starts pointing towards the wall behind me, or in front of me in this case. Okay, if you need a block here, a belt here, you can use a belt so that the legs don't move away from you. All right. And we can just put a belt around the feet like that. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, So practice in Baddha Konasana, lay down on Baddha Konasana. If you need a belt, go ahead and have a belt there so that the feet don't come away from you. Second, if you need a block in between the heels, go ahead and place that block there. And without tightening eyes, ears, or throat, press the heels together and lengthen the femur. Okay. Step 2 is to start pulling that femur down. Okay. So I can do this with a little sticky mat if I need one. Okay, so here I'm going to be pressing my heels together, lengthening the femur, and then I'm pushing the leg down. So I want to do this. Okay, press, push the leg down, and press the heel, push one side down. Press the heel, lengthen this femur, and you can start feeling this knot here, the tightness here, releasing. So press into the femurs and press this side down. And I can really tell I really start to arch my back. So don't allow the back to just completely just arch. Okay, so bring it back to neutral. Press the heels together and tuck a bit if you have a tendency of really arching the back here. So press the heels together and knee here again like this. Okay, so a few times like that. And then go ahead and bring the legs back up, and we're going to do this in our tree pose. All right, so here I'm going to have my foot on the wall. Okay, and I'm going to put the block there. If I need a belt here, if it's a little bit better, or a little, okay, can use the belt. Okay, so just make sure that if we're doing it here, you're not pushing against the knee. So you're pushing as far up as you can on the thigh. Okay, so there we go. We have that contact. We have heel to block to thigh, and then I'm pushing this down. If I want to use a sticky mat here, I am pushing this knee down. Okay, lengthening the femur, get that sensation that you're, because of the push with the heel onto the block, you're lengthening the femur, and then help that stretch, that femur release. Okay, and make sure that you're not tightening eyes, ears, and throat here. Okay, same thing with the other side. Okay, bring your block, place the heel on the block, and then feel the length in the femur. You might feel a cramp here, which is totally normal. Just breathe through your cramp. Press the heel to the block, lengthen the femur, keep the leg that has the foot on the wall nice and active, and then push that thigh down with your hand. Push it down, not towards the ground, but towards lengthening that femur. Okay, and when you do it here, not so, if you're not using too much strain, you can also start to see that we arch the back here. And so how to learn how to tuck in order to remove that excessive arch in the back, super important too, because we will do the same mistake. We'll make that mistake standing up. And so here we're going to do this exercise one more time. So first you do it to learn how to lengthen the femur and how to press into the thigh. And also I will say we do have these really big femoral arteries here. If you do feel like you are pressing one of them, you may, maybe if you stand up suddenly, be a little bit lightheaded. So don't press into that area for more than 3 minutes if you're noticing that something like that is happening. So just, with a block is fine. Just an observation that you can make. Okay, so here you'll be able to see, so this is the arch, so untucking, and here I'm asking you to tuck. So if I have my feet on the wall here, we'll use a block for consistency, bring the heel to your block there. Okay, and then when you're pressing here and you're trying to bring this leg down, there might be some arching here in the back. So go ahead and spend a few minutes pressing into your block and removing the arch on the back. Okay, so bringing the pubic symphysis up, hips towards the mat. And then remember, the more, if you're up in doing the standing up and you're getting confused, am I arching my back or not? Come back to the floor. And then you can start tucking here. So tuck, press the feet in, and you definitely might feel some cramps. Get the length on the femur and breathe and tuck some more. Right, so making sure that we're not creating an arch here in order to bring length into the femur or to get into this pose. Okay, so once you've done this for a few different times, start discovering the pose, start discovering these things that happen in the pose, like overarching the back and moving the hips. See my hips here in the floor. I can see, the hips are parallel to the floor. So if I start moving the hip up like this to bring what I was showing you when we're standing up, so that my Baddha Konasana is not completely open yet. So my leg, is a little bit far away from the floor. So in my attempt to bring the leg down, I can't lift this hip. Okay, and this is what's happening standing up. I'm lifting the hip to bring the leg back. So the instruction is leave the hips where they are, lengthen the femur by pressing the heel into the leg, and eventually not only will this knee go towards the wall or towards your feet, but they'll also come back once you get that opening in the hip. And then these hips will stay parallel to the floor. They won't lift. Okay, hopefully that makes things clearer. So learning on the floor is always a great idea. So let's get into the standing version of the pose now. And we're going to use the wall to inform the pose. Just like we use the floor, we're going to use the opposite wall. So if you have a corner wall like this, that's the best. So we're not putting the knee on the corner here. So if I'm standing on this wall, I'm going to put my knee on this wall, not on the corner, because that will cause my back to arch more. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, and I'm trying any suggestions on camera here would be greatly appreciated on different angles that you want to see. Okay, so here, feel free to use a block here and or a mat on the wall to protect your knee. So we'll use the block first, and I'm going to have my right foot on the ground. So again, lift the arches, make the feet very wide, and then grab your knee, put it on into as high as you can up on the thigh here. Okay, press this heel into the thigh, press the thigh back onto the heel. And then when I do this, when I use this pressure of the heel, I am lengthening my femur and I am pushing, almost as if I wanted to make my room bigger. I am pushing the knee into the wall. Okay, making sure that I'm not turning my foot out, that my right foot that's on the ground is facing the wall. And so here I can start to notice that I'm bringing this hip back. So bring this hip, square this hip with the wall. Yes, it means that my leg is not going to be as nicely out here, but that means I'm not cheating. Okay, so bring the knee out and tuck here. If I'm causing an extra back bend here, tuck. Pressure of the heel into the leg and push into the block. Okay, and we can bring the hands together in the back and practice here. Okay, and now I'll do this facing forward so that you can see. Let's see here. Okay, so same thing. Okay, so same thing here. Here I can even use the wall where I'm, using the wall like I use the floor to make sure that my hips aren't starting to turn. Bring the foot so that you can press the heel onto the inner leg. And without trying to bring the knee back, okay, I'm going to come near the wall here. Put my knee against the wall, making sure that I'm not twisting at the hips. I'm bringing pressure from the heel onto the thigh and then lengthening the femur by pressing the knee into the wall. And here, I want this to go down. I want this length here. Okay, and then I notice I'm starting to arch my back. So I bring the hips towards the wall, pubic symphysis out. So I tuck. And I feel the stretch here. So same thing, pushing this down at the very top of the femur, not at the knee, but here, lengthening the femur. And working here. All right, and so here is tree pose for you, a little bit broken down into pieces and decomposed. And to get this opening here, I'll show you one last thing that you can do that really, really creates a deep opening in the hips. Okay. Okay, so this will be a few minutes. We are going to use a wall. A corner part of the wall is the best. And I usually place a bolster because my knee is going to go against this part. And so it's nice to have a bolster here to protect the knee. And you can do this as long as there's zero pain in the knee. So if you are having pain in the knee, work at the exercises for Vrikshasana that we just did. Work those for a couple more weeks until you can do this pose without pain. Okay, so we're going to bring the leg back here. Okay, like this. So kind of like a half Padmasana. So the way that I do that is I make sure that I completely close my knee so I don't have any opening here. It's closed, okay? Then I'm not going to grab my toes. I'm going to make sure that I grab my ankle here, bring it back, and see if I can bring that foot onto my thigh. So if I can do this and I don't have any pain in my knee, I can move on to the next step. So the next step here is to come close to the wall like this. And I'm going to place this knee onto the floor near that bolster. Let's see if I can bring this here. Okay. So I have one foot on the floor. And this knee is going to go here onto the bolster. Okay. And okay, making sure that that knee joint stays closed. Then I'm putting my feet on the wall here, and I am lengthening here, getting a maximum opening of my hip joint. Okay. And to come out, just roll out and come out. Okay. Okay. So So if you have questions about that, let me know, and I can answer them in the next video. I hope that this was a good insight into tree pose, and I hope that it works for you when you practice. So let me know how it goes. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next week here on the live classes. Thank you so much.